Hello everyone, I'm George Myland. Well, thank you for coming back to my channel. And this is about Comrade Jeremy Corbyn's new party. Your Party is the working title. People have quipped it's the Fruit and Nut Party, as in he's the nut, and Zara Sultana, a young Labour MP, former Labour MP, she's the fruit, as in Sultana is her surname. So what the prospects? Well, I mean, not good on the face of it. But then when we get into the granularity, actually seems more and more optimistic than when there have been these previous extreme left-wing parties. It was whatever socialist party in the late 60s that Tariq Ali was involved in, challenging the Labour Party, and that went nowhere fast. After that sort of Hull by-election they stood in. And then when there was the Workers' Revolutionary Party by Jerry Healey, a fellow West Britisher, in the 70s and 80s, imploded partly after his death. Turned out that he molested a lot of the women in the party. And anything else there? Yeah, when after the clause 4 was deleted from the Labour Constitution, sorry, reformulated under Blair in 96, the Socialist Labour Party was a breakaway led by what's his name, Arthur Scargill, who was leader of the National Union of Miners back in the miners' strike in 1984. He's still alive. So that made no impact. There was a Socialist Alliance in the noughties. There was a Respect Party led by George Galloway, former Labour MP, who was expelled in 2003 for inciting mutiny amongst the British Armed Forces. And he's been fortunate enough to meet me on a few occasions, and he's often fulminated against Zionism. So that's him. The Respect Party. And then he renamed. I can't remember what. So he was actually he won he won a seat Bradford North, and he lost that one. Oh yeah, 2005, he'd unseated Una King in Bethnal Green and Bow, an East London seat with a significant Mohammedan minority. Likewise, Bradford East, because although he's from a Christian background, he's married a few Muslims. His current wife is Indonesian, and he's often said, "Oh, Muslims are mistreated around the world," blah blah blah. So it's often a blend of appealing to Muslims and far left politics. So the Respect Party, did they come up with a new name for that? Oh yeah, the Workers' Party of Britain, the latest iteration. So there have been a number of these extreme left parties. Obviously, there's the Communist Party of Great Britain, which held a seat till 1950. Willie Gallagher lost his seat in somewhere in Fife. And they'd had, I think, 2 MPs at their max. And often some previously in the 20s and 30s, partly because Labour didn't stand against them, there wasn't this bifurcation between the constitutional road to socialism and bloody revolution at the time, even though the Bolsheviks in the Soviet Union were absolutely merciless against socialists who believed in democracy, crushed the life out of them, were extremely violent and cruel to them. The Trudovniki, the Mensheviki, and who else? The social revolutionaries and so forth. So and Corbyn, he's got name recognition. He's been in Parliament since 1983. Okay, he's got a bit of a following. I remember 10 years ago, that's when he became leader of the Labour Party. And not only were you had to be nominated by at least 10 MPs. When it was suggested in 2010 that he might become leader, or even his acolyte, what's that guy's name? Is it Donald MacDonald, the former MP for Hayes? It'll come to me. People laugh that one to scorn. But 2015, it happened. So he was nominated, and then he won by a country mile. And obviously, the Conservatives were wringing their hands well, we were just gleeful. Labour veterans thought this would be absolutely cataclysmic, and they were correct. But he did galvanise the left, and he got hundreds of thousands of people to join. Remember, you didn't have to be a member of the party; you had to be a sort of paid up supporter to vote. And then there was an attempt to kick him out and Owen Smith to replace him, but that he was re-elected. So Labour was in a flat spin for years, but obviously exceeded expectations in 2017, lost badly in 2019, not so much because of him and his hard left policies, partly he was wrong-footed by Brexit, the dead cat strategy that Steve Hilton, that Australian electoral guru, came up with. But I would normally say that these insurgent parties, that they get nowhere. They win 1 or 2 seats at a by-election. They'd be lucky to retain a general election, and that's it. It was a duopoly for a very long time, but it's not anymore. There's a state of fluidity. You go back to the 60s, and about 90% of people were aligned, were either Labour or Conservative voters. That was it, and that's why there were several elections where the result was very close. Or we go say to 1964. Okay, 66 was a clear Labour victory. 1970, the 2 elections in 1974, they're all very close. But here it's the kind of complete opposite. So quite a small minority of people have a firm identification with one party or other. And the two major parties, far from getting over 90% of the vote between them, as they would have in the 60s, these days, they get barely 50%. And even those people aren't necessarily committed. So it's in a state of flux. That's why the Green Party has broken through. Reform United Kingdom has broken through. The leading party in the polls for about a year now. This is not a blip. Something has happened. The separatist parties, the SNP and Plaid Cymru, they are very serious parties. Obviously, the Scottish National Party has been running North Britain for 18 years, and next year, their 19th year. At the moment, it looks like they're going to win. And even if they don't win outright, the biggest party, even if they lose, it won't be by much. So that's why an insurgent party could really break through. Now, so obviously, it's bad news for Labour. Is attracting their far left voters. There's a lot of disgruntlement amongst about Labour from their more left wing and their younger voters about the perceived lack of radicalism. They think it's pusillanimous. They want to be a bit more audacious. It's really unachieved so far. And Labour's attempts to trim the centre are not working to get the benefits bill down and so on, to be a little bit sensible, follow the economic orthodoxy. No, people want to spend, think it's a magic money tree. But a lot of the problem has been the short termism. So what do we do about this? We'll live way beyond our means and we'll just borrow. And that is putting the burden onto children, onto your grandchildren, onto your great grandchildren. And then the sky is full of chickens coming to roost. You can't borrow your way to prosperity. I mean, well, the United States, $37 billion in debt. The Democrats are irresponsible. The Republicans are grossly irresponsible, like a crackhead with a credit card in their borrowing spree. And people are not willing to bite the bullet, do the unpopular things to raise the retirement age. It'd be great there's cross-party consensus on this, but I'm afraid the Conservatives are probably opportunistic, saying, "Oh no, we can't do that," when that is the only viable policy. So Corbyn's got a real chance here. Remember, he had the Labour whip withdrawn because he said the allegations of anti-Semitism had been exaggerated. So 2021, he lost their whip, been an independent MP, and he stood in his old bailiwick of Islington and was re-elected. Remember, Diane Abbott, his paramour from the early 80s, she's still a Labour MP. There was talk about her being given the heave-ho. Was she going to step down from Parliament? She's still there, the mother of the house. Would she jump ship and join him? And that would be a big boost to them. Several Labour MPs had the whip withdrawn over voting against the two-child benefit cap. A lot of Labour MPs are deeply disaffected over the whole Gaza situation. Now, Starmer's kept them on board just about. We're saying we'll recognise Palestine at the United Nations General Assembly in September, unless Israel does this. But remember, Starmer has, as a cunning lawyer that he is, this clever use of language, say unless it will take substantive steps. So the ambiguity there, he's allowed himself some latitude to say that they've done this without some clear benchmark. You have to deliver X tons of food, or the ceasefire has to be within 24 hours and has to last at least 100 days. There's nothing verifiable. There's no metric by which you can determine whether these have been substantial steps or not. So he could back out of it if the repercussions are too grave for him. But of course, that would cause terrible ructions in the Labour Party. Now, the first big strategic setback for Corbyn's party is the Green Party said they won't merge with them. And the blindingly obvious thing to do is call it Green Left, because he's into the environmental stuff. The Greens tend to be loony left on economics, tax the economy to crash, whatever, no growth, anti-industry, anti-car, blah, blah, blah. So make all the wealthy people go away. It's ludicrous. I mean, I realize ecology matters, so I do want to safeguard the environment, but they've just got no regard for the economy whatsoever, and they'll come up with their voodoo economics about how this is really going to work, taxing people out of existence. So it's obviously bad news for the Greens as well, because it'll attract some votes for them. So the Greens have done actually surprisingly well in some rural areas like Hertfordshire, or southwest England like Gloucestershire, in places just outside Bristol. And remember, Bristol is their real bastion. But Corbyn is much more urban politician, especially with sort of majority-minority places. So like London, Manchester, Birmingham, Bradford, that's where they'll do well. So that's why I think they'll win several seats. It'll be in the single figures, I would guess. Yeah, often it might be Labour defectors standing in the same seat again. So that's why, I mean, the Conservatives can breathe a sigh of relief. The Conservatives look they're going to be smashed to pieces. The current poll said they'd be reduced to under 100 seats. I mean, it'd be the worst result ever. Just when the Tories might have thought it couldn't have got any worse, when Rishi Sunak got the Conservative Unionist Party the worst result, since even there was a Tory party, Conservative and Unionist Party would only use the word Conservative since the Tamworth Manifesto. It was at 1834. Tory party around since 1681, since the exclusion crisis. So in what was it, 334 years, this is the worst result. Worst in share of the vote, in number of seats, and it looked like it's going to be even worse. The only thing that might save the Tories a bit is the anti-Conservative bloc being even more split by having on the left Labour, the Greens, and this new Corbyn party, your party. They're not come up with a name, so their idea will be, wealth tax on assets, more money for the NHS, abolish tuition fees, probably student grants for all, probably cut the defense even more, maybe even leave NATO, get rid of nuclear weapons, really run up the white flag in terms of defense, probably more referenda on splitting up the United Kingdom. So much for uniting the working class. They want to divide people. Probably, pay reparations to people in other countries for what people in this country did to their ancestors hundreds of years ago. So yeah, and I'm not sure what else they would do. Yeah, empty the museums, no artifacts, even more far left indoctrination, brainwashing, poisoning the minds of our children, so just miseducation. So it would be really cataclysmic. But there are enough leftards who'll vote for that. I mean, they will get several percent of the vote, like 5%, 6%, but taking away a lot from the Greens as well as from Labour. So that's why is for the Tories, it's going to be bad next time, but may actually get over 100 seats because of this. But they're not going to get much money. No corporation's going to donate to them. They haven't even come up with a name yet. He had his sort of peace and justice project last time. And the word socialist, is that a bit tired? What can you put in the name? You could put in that, or Social Justice Party, or Justice Party, Peace. They already had the Social Democrats from 1981 to 88, who merged with the Liberals and made the Liberal Democrats. They don't want an SDP again. Democratic Socialist Party, that's a possibility. What else could they say apart from socialist? I probably wouldn't go for communist. Workers' Party, there's a Workers' Party of Britain, Revolutionary Party, something like that. Democratic Left, that's what the Communist Party renamed themselves. Some names like this. Okay, a bit like there was Wags, Die Linke in German. What is it? Wahl, Arbeit, Gerechtigkeit, Sozialismus. Vote, work, justice, socialism, something like that. Peace and Justice Party, one of those. We shall see. We live in interesting times, so politics is in flux. This party is a ball in the air, but these insurgent parties, very difficult to get them going. I mean, there was an amazing thing about UKIP, founded in 1992 in response to the Treaty of Maastricht. He's still going to this day, but it hasn't had a single MP since, my goodness, when was it? 2017. And then obviously transmogrified into the Brexit Party in 2019. Almost all the gifted people went over to that. So sort of for like 28 years existed in some form or other. It more or less doesn't exist now. And then there was a Brexit Party, which was that name for several years. And then it's Reform UK. So it had to keep reinventing itself. And I think his party would have a run of 5 to 10 years, just like the Respect Party disappeared. And then there's been this Workers, whatever, Party of Britain. We shall see. But obviously Galloway's too much of an egomaniac to join forces with Corbyn, even though he's a bit of yesterday's man. And Corbyn is no spring chicken. I mean, he's in his mid-70s now, so he can't keep going that much longer. Obviously, good. He wants a woman, who wants an ethnic minority person, especially someone from a Muslim background. What do you think? Thanks for watching my channel. Make sure you subscribe to my Patreon, donate PayPal, georgecannon7@gmail.com. Goodbye.